Hello everyone, welcome to the video series on Python tools for data science and machine learning. And in this particular video, we are starting with Python Pandas. So this is the first video of Python Panda series. And in this particular video, we will introduce ourselves in a general way, in an easy way to Python Pandas. So let's go ahead and start and understand what is Python Pandas and how we can do some basic operations with Python Pandas. Now let's talk about what is Pandas. So Pandas is a fast, powerful, flexible and easy. Let's repeat these terms. Fast, powerful, flexible and easy. What else do we want? If we have these four things in something and that particular thing serves our purpose, there is no question we should ask before using that. So Python Pandas is fast, flexible, powerful and easy open source data analytic and manipulation tool. Open source data analytic and manipulation tool which is built on top of Python programming language. So it is a data analysis tool which we can and which is very useful to do in lots of cases. So this is what Python Pandas does. And to do these things, we have to use Pandas data structures. And there are two data structures which are the backbone of Python Pandas. And these two data structures are Pandas data frame and Pandas series. And in this particular video, we are going to look into Pandas data frame. We are actually starting our understanding of Python Pandas with Pandas data frame. And we will talk about series at some later point of time. So let's go ahead and talk about Pandas data frame first. What is a Pandas data frame? In a nutshell, a Pandas data frame is extremely similar to a RDBMS database, a SQL database with rows and columns with columns as fields. Or you can even think of Pandas data frame as, an Excel sheet with rows and columns contains the headings like serial number, name, age and other things. Okay, so this is what Pandas data frame is. Pandas series is one-dimensional entity. We are going to talk about Pandas series when we look into Pandas series. So let's go ahead and talk about Pandas data frame. Now to use Pandas data frame, we have to use Pandas, import Pandas as PD, and as an accessory thing, we should also import NumPy as NP. Okay, so NumPy is not required to use Pandas, but it is very helpful. So let's import Pandas as PD and NumPy as NP. Okay, now there is one very important distinction between considering Pandas data frame as a database. Pandas data frame loads everything in memory and does all those manipulation or data analysis on that. So whatever happens in memory, which means that if you are using Pandas, you have to take care of how much data you are loading because all of the data will be loaded in memory. This is something you must always keep in mind while using Python Pandas. Now when it comes to loading data from database to in memory, we can use variety of sources to load the data. Some of them are Excel, CSV file, Python pickle, JSON, HTML, HDFS tables, SAS, SQL, Google BigQuery, and maybe some other things also which I might have missed. Okay, so getting data in a Pandas data frame is not a big deal. It may be the easiest thing to do. Manipulations and data analysis is something we need to take care of. Okay, so for the simplicity purpose, at this moment of time, we will load our data from a CSV file. So here is how my CSV file looks like. So I have 4 columns. Okay, 4 columns. Name, programming languages, years of experience and salary grade. Okay, now let me show you the CSV file. Here is how the CSV file looks like. Okay, I have opened the CSV file in the Excel. Now, the first thing, load data from the CSV file. To load the data, I will use a function called read CSV. As the name suggests, read CSV means reading from CSV file, and I am passing pandas.csv, and as a output of this successful read I will get a df. Df means data frame. Df is a variable, I can use any name over here. Okay, now once the data that was there in my CSV file is loaded in the memory, here is how my data frame will look like. Exactly similar to some table, SQL table, MySQL table, right? We have name, programming language, years of experience, and salary grade. Something else is added, right? The row index number 0 to 6 is starting from 0 to 6. Okay, this was added automatically. Okay, now when I was creating the data frame from the CSV file, as you can see, there is no row index. Okay, if it is not there, it will add row index automatically. Now if the CSV file is already having row index, there is an option in read CSV via which we can disable auto generation of this row index number, otherwise it will generate. It doesn't have an artificial intelligent entity which can detect whether the row index numbers are there or not. Okay, now what is the first function you might use once you load a data into a data frame? Well, once you load data into the data frame, you might want to see how the data looks like. So I have seen here how the data looks like, but in the real world, when you load the data, you might be loading hundreds of thousands of rows and columns. So it will not be possible to see it over here. Okay, so these are the two functions which are very, very important. These functions are head and tail. So I am using head function by passing the parameter called 2, and I am using tail function with also the parameter 2. Okay, 2 means number of records from head, which means from top, from tail, which means from bottom. So here I have given 2. If I give 7 over here, I will get 7 records. You can call these functions without any parameter, which means it will return the default number of records, which is 5. The same is applicable for tail also. Here also, if you do not specify any number, it will return 5. Okay, now let's look into other members of data frame. One of them is shape. Okay, we know a data frame is a two-dimensional entity, and if we want to see the shape, we will use shape. 7 rows, 4 columns. Okay, now let's talk about some of the interesting aspect. Okay, now each column of a data frame, we can refer that as a array index, like this, data frame years of experience. Okay, let me just depict this only. You will get years of experience, all records of years of experience, and also here the row index number is automatically generated. Okay, so you can access a particular column as an array element, right? You just give that particular column, you will get the columns. Now there are some interesting functions which you can use and you will end up using if you are doing any data science or data analytics. But these functions will work only in mathematical numbers, so most of the time you may end up normalizing your data. All those things maybe we can talk at some later point of time. So sum will return sum of all the years of experience. Mean will return the mean value of all the years of experience. Median will return the median value of all the years of experience. This can be done for all the columns. Now in the beginning I told you that pandas load everything in memory, which means that all the data which is being read from the CSV file or database will be loaded into the memory, and all the analysis will be done in memory, which means that at some point of time we would like to see the memory uses. So there is a built-in function of pandas called memory uses. If we pass index equal to true, it will also include the memory of index, and if we say false, it will not include the memory usage of indexes. So it should be true, And there is another function called deep, which is by default false, and if we mark it as true, see all the number changes. Okay, so this is the bare minimum memory usage. But if you check with process dump and this memory usage, I have always seen there are differences in that, and I am not sure how this memory usage actually calculate everything, or I don't know if it has the capability of um, calculating memory usage of all the object, all the indexes. And I'm still trying to figure that out. So at this moment of time, till I figure that out and tell it to all of you, or if I can get some link which explains the behavior of memory uses, I will share that in description. But till that time, I will ask you to take this as a reference, but may not be a concrete value. Okay, I'm still looking into this, what is the difference and why the difference comes when process usage, because there are other things also happens with process, but it can give you an indication in bytes how much memory is being used. Okay, now when we have a data frame, we are going to look into data, right? And we are not going to look into all the data, right, all the time. For doing any particular calculations, or for that matter depicting a particular information, we need to extract data from rows and columns in such a way where we can extract a part of the data. And for that, two functions are used which are called ILOC and LOC. So the difference here is that in case of LOC, row number will be number, but in case of columns, you need to provide column label like years of experience. And in case of ILOC, consider this as I as integer, where you can give numeric values. Okay, so let's see how it works. So let's print the data frame again. This is our data frame. Now I am using LOC function. I am saying fetch me second record 0, 1, 2. It starts from 0 and just print the salary grade. So it will give me C. Okay, salary grade is C. Second record salary grade. Okay. Same with ILOC. What we will do with ILOC is that we will say give me second record and third column. Third column means it will also start from 0, which means that this is 0 column, 1 column, 2 column, third column. So the output will be same. Okay. Always remember the difference between LOC and ILOC is that consider I means some index or integer. It will help you to remember this. Okay. Now when we are using LOC or ILOC, the columns are not mandatory. It's optional, which means that if we give a record number, all the columns will be fetched. So let's see the data frame again. In this case, I am saying fetch me second record. Second record means 0, 1, 2, actually third record. So third record is being fetched. Same with ILOC. The output is exactly same. Now let's talk about slicing. Slicing is very important. And if you have seen my video on NumPy slicing, this slicing works exactly in the same way. But there is one difference between NumPy slicing and data frame slicing. If you have seen my video and you remember something called inclusive exclusive range, it means that if I am saying 0 to 4, it means that 0 will be included, 4 will be excluded. But this is not true for data frame slicing. It will include 0 as well as include 4, which means this is inclusive range. This range is inclusive. In case of NumPy, it was exclusive. Okay. Similarly with ILOC, but in this case, this behaves like NumPy array. I integer LOC. This is exclusive range, which means that it will include 0 but exclude 4. These are the minor differences, but I am starting with this because these are some of the functions which you are going to use for most of the time, and you should know about this. Okay. Now let's talk about how to slice column. In case of LOC, I can give a range of record and I can give in an array notation more than one column, and I will get name and programming languages as a result. And in case of ILOC, we can provide a numeric range. Again, in this case, this is inclusive exclusive, which means 0 and 1 column will be extracted. ILOC inclusive exclusive, LOC inclusive inclusive. Okay. Now let's talk about the last topic of this particular video, which is about adding or removing a column or a record from the data frame. Okay, so here is how the data frame looks like. Now to add a column, you can add a column as a Pandas series, but we will talk about that later. Let's add a column as a NumPy array. So in here I have created a NumPy array called nparr, and I am creating a new column like this. Data frame, I am adding a new column like this. Data frame, array notation, new column which is not there, assigned to NumPy array. So in this particular case, if I just go ahead and print the data frame, you can see that new column is assigned with the NumPy array values. Okay, so in the data frame array notation, if the column is not there, it will be created. Similarly, if you want to drop a column, you need to call drop function, column name, and you need to provide access. Access equal to 1 means column. Now you can see that new column is dropped. We can also drop a row. We can provide the number, access equal to 0, 0 means row wise. Now you can see that record number 4. Okay, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 is not there. Now when I am dropping the row number 4, it's the row index number which needs to be dropped. Okay, so this is all I had for today's video. Thank you all. Thanks for watching. We will meet again with many other videos. Good day, goodbye. Thanks a lot, and you please take care.